The next one is Kate Bush, 50 Words for Snow. Released November 21st, 2011, reached number 83 on the American charts. So Kate Bush really kind of stretching out. It's very piano-driven, bit on the jazzy side, but obviously there's a bit of a theme here. It's not a Christmas album. It is a winter album. I think she had a little bit of trouble with trying to get that across to some people. But it's a really great album, and I can listen to it any time of the year. But definitely a snow theme running through it, and it definitely does have a very wintry winter storm blown feel to it. This album is Kate at her most delicate and ethereal. If delicate and ethereal is not your game, I wouldn't. You're probably not going to dig this album. Delicate and ethereal, and overall, although it's not always the case, pretty quiet. Actually, this is probably the most sort of piano-driven album she's done. And songs are quite long. It's a double album. There's only 7 songs on it. It's like, I think iTunes says it's an hour and 6 minutes. Probably her most challenging album outside of the Dreaming, anyway. But she kind of front-loaded it with the quietest and kind of slowest and longest songs on the album, so that makes it even bit more of a challenge for some people. I think. Let's see. The first song is Snowflake. This is one where she's basically duetting with her 11, 12, I guess, year old son, Albert, and she wanted to catch him at that moment just before his voice changed, when you can still get that real kind of high choir boy voice. And basically he is a snowflake who's falling to earth trying to find Kate and light on her, I guess, and it's sort of a back and forth between the two of them, with him singing the verses as the snowflake and her singing the chorus, which is just the phrase, "The world is so loud, keep falling, I'll find you." And I talk about her front loading the album with the most challenging songs. Well, this is probably the most challenging song on here for the listener, because if you really listen to it, I would say it isn't so much, but if it's just playing in the background, it probably comes off as a bit kind of monotonous, because it's dominated by one particular piano motif. Here I go again. Motif or riff, whatever you call it. That's repeated almost like a mantra, along with that phrase that she sings, "The world is so loud, keep on." Those are kind of mantras that go through the whole song. And in fact, the back and forth actually gets more and more frequent as his verses, I guess, get shorter and shorter, till they're just like one line followed by her line, and then his line, and then her line, and his line towards the end of it. I guess the effect is basically that the snowflake is getting closer and that they're getting closer and closer to each other. And so now there are some other elements here and there throughout the song besides just the piano. There's a little bit of drums, or it kind of has this kind of light tumbling kind of quality for really just a few seconds, kind of like tumbling snow, I guess. And there's another section or two with some good, really nice, really nice string arrangement. But the lyrics are what really kind of bring it to life and really kind of paint the picture in this song. I was born in a cloud, now I am falling. I want you to catch me. Look up and you'll see me. You know you can hear me. And then I can see horses wading through snowdrifts. My broken hearts, my fabulous dances, my fleeting song, fleeting. I can hear people. I think you are near me now. We're over a forest. It's midnight at Christmas. You know. Okay, so there's a reference to Christmas on the album. And then the next song is Lake Tahoe, which was inspired by a legend about Lake Tahoe in California and Nevada, about a lady who's, I guess, drowned in the lake, and her frozen body sometimes rises to the surface. But this song, actually, the first part is a description of that legend, you know, imagining the lady rising up from the lake, you know, with her dead doll-like eyes, and then the second half, then all of a sudden she switches to the lady's dog, and the dog is now old and frail and can't do the kind of things that used to do, like running around and stuff. But it catches him in a dream where he is dreaming that he's running through the woods looking for the woman. Then he hears a voice, and it's her, and all of a sudden he gets to come home for the first time in years or whatever, I guess. But thankfully she leaves him in his dream. We don't see the moment when he wakes up and realizes that none of that is true. But it's a really interesting arrangement. There's this time it's another kind of vocal back and forth between her and a couple of guys singing, but they're singing in a higher register than she is, which makes for a really kind of haunting effect. It's about 11 minutes long, but it's definitely worth the time. There is a bit of a kind of a build up towards the end of it. See, just like a poor porcelain doll, her eyes are open, but no one's home. The clock has stopped. So long she's gone. No one's home. Her old dog is sleeping. His legs are frail now, but when he dreams, he runs along long beaches and sticky fields through the spooky wood looking for her. There's a really great moment in this song where she sings the lines, just like a poor porcelain doll. Her eyes are open, but no one's home. But she sings that first line, just like a poor porcelain doll, and hits a piano note, and just holds it, and holds, and holds, and holds, and just like holds and holds, and then you hear the very light sound of cawing birds flying in the background, and then back into it, and her eyes are open, but no one's home. You know, I mean, this album is full of little moments like that. Yeah, it's full of sort of longueurs like that might kind of try the patience of a lot of people, but not me. Not me. I love it. I don't know. I love it.
like a
I just had to play it. Then we go to side 2, and first song, well, and the only song on side 2 is Misty. This is my favorite song. And this is basically about a lady who makes love to a snowman. She builds a snowman and goes to bed that evening, and the window comes open, and there, standing in front of the window, is the snowman, who promptly climbs into bed with her. But this one has the arrangement on this one is really great. I'm probably gonna have to play a clip. It's not really gonna give you an idea of the kind of the build up in this one, but because it's such a long one, I'm obviously not gonna play the whole thing. But see. He won't speak to me. His crooked mouth is full of dead leaves, bits of twisted branches and frozen garden, crushed and stolen grasses from slumbering lawn. He is dissolving before me, and dawn will come soon. What kind of spirit is this, our one and only tryst? His breath all misty, and when I kiss his ice cream lips and his creamy skin, his snowy white arms surround me, so cold next to me, I can feel him melting in my hand, melting in my hand. There's kind of an underlying sadness in this song. The woman seems to be pretty lonely. She seems to almost have kind of created the snowman for companionship, and then there's the fact that the snowman is a very temporary being who doesn't have long for this earth as well. But yeah, I'm going to play a clip of this one.
I can feel him melting in my hand.
So then we go to side 3. The first song is Wild Man. This is where the pace kind of picks up a notch. It was the only single off the album, and it's basically about the Yeti, and Kate takes the role of a I guess part of a mountain climbing team or whatever, who find the Yeti's footprints in the snow and wipe them away, because they know that if humanity finds him, they'll kill him, and for research purposes or for whatever, or just to prove that he exists, or there's a lot of intriguing things in the lyrics, with a lot of place names and stuff. They call you an animal, the Kanchenjunga demon, wild man, Meto king me. Lying in my tent, I can hear your cry echoing round the mountainside. You sound lonely. While crossing the Lapkala, something jumped down from the rocks. In the remote Garo Hills by Tipu Marak, we found footprints in the snow. Some very some really good backing. I say backing vocals, but they're really pretty much as prominent as Kate's on the choruses, by Andy Fairweather Lowe. Name that I've heard a lot, but I'm not really that familiar with his work. But their vocals together sound really interesting. She records in analog. She's probably one of the few people that still does, I guess. And on this song, she uses kind of an old effect that you don't really hear anymore. That I think they call it the Doppler kind of effect, where you get that kind of swish sound. She uses that on here to really great effect in one part of the song. And then the next song is Snowed In at Wheeler Street. And this is a duet with Elton John. Seems like a lot of Kate Bush fans read them sort of critiquing this album, and they're just not very fond of Elton's work on this song. I don't know why, though. I think it's great. I dig it. He's singing in a much lower register than he usually does. But it's basically about two people who keep meeting each other and losing each other in different points of history, starting with the burning of Rome, and I saw you on the steps in Paris, and and then during World War II, and it's a couple of in the London smog, and finally in 9/11 in New York. There's another one that a lot of the songs on this one kind of build in intensity over the course of their running time. See, excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you, but don't I know you? There's just something about you. Haven't we met before? We've been in love forever. When we got to the top of the hill, we saw Rome burning. I just let you walk away. I've never forgiven myself. I saw you on the steps in Paris. You were with someone else. Couldn't you see that should have been me? I just walked on by. Then we met in 42, but we were on different sides. I hid you under my bed, but they took you away. But I think the singing by both of them is actually really good. There's a lot more. I know I keep using the same words over and over. I swear I really do have a vocabulary, but when I do things like this, it just all disappears. I don't know where it goes to. But the vocals definitely get quite intense towards the end of the song. Then we go to side 4. The first song is 50 Words for Snow, the title track. This is probably the most humorous thing on the album. And this one is basically a duet of sorts with Stephen Fry as Professor Joseph Yupik. And it's basically inspired by the myth that Eskimos have 50 words for snow. They don't. So she created her own, and the verses are just listing those words: 1, drifting; 2, twisting; 3, whiteout; 4, blackbird braille; 5, Wenceslaus air; 6, avalanche. With him reading, her numbering them, and him reading off the words, and then she sings the choruses. But some of them are kind of humorous. Ankle breaker, eraso dust, Schnamistaflop, and a lot of them have kind of an onomatopoeia kind of feel to them, like, you know, Terra Blizza, Vanilla Swarm, Meltoblast, Bad for Trains, Bone from Polar Fur. This one's probably the most kind of, this one and Wild Man are the ones that are the most kind of rhythmic, somewhat up-tempo kind of songs on the album. And then the last song is back to the more piano-driven. In fact, it's really just Kate and a piano and a bit of strings, called Among Angels. This is one of the more comforting songs, I think, in Kate's work. Just beautiful lyrics. And they will carry you o'er the walls. If you need us, just call. Rest your weary world in their hands. Lay your broken laugh at their feet. I can see angels around you. They shimmer like mirrors in summer. There's someone who's loved you forever, but you don't know it. You might feel it and just not show it.
If you need us, just call. Rest your weary world in their hands. Lay your